Alrighty, it's another 7 days later, and we are back with another edition of the program Spiritual Exercise on Click Niger. Good day to you and yours. Hoping your day has started, the right way. Hope you're happy. I am Max Shidwindak, your program host. Today on the show, we are looking at the effects of anger on your spirituality. As usual, I am not alone. Sitting with me is Hawa Mohammed.
Hello, Machi.
Hi, Hawa.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, if this is your first time tuning in, the program Spiritual Exercise is where we discuss how to get closer to God, looking at the everyday things and how they may or may not affect our spirituality. Simply put, how to keep fit spiritually. For today's discourse, we'd like to know, has anger ever affected your spirituality? Let us know in the comment section how you overcame it. All right, the program, of course, we just hope that we learn from each other, you learn from us, we learn from you, and at the end of the day we are stronger spiritually. If you believe in that kind of thing. All right, so of course for most people though, the answer to that question would be yes. So for you, Hawa, has anger ever affected your spirituality?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, would you say there's a particular reason why?
Like, anger is a personal thing for me because most times my anger is a reaction from people's treatment towards me, and not like I'm angry at God or certain things happening in my life. Like, if certain things happen the way I don't want them to happen or whatever, it doesn't make me angry. Most times I react to people's treatment rather than happenings around my life.
Okay, all right. So, well, of course, it's not like it has to be a yes for you. It could be no too. But just let us know in the comment section. Okay, so anger, which we also know as rage, is an intense emotional state involving a strong, uncomfortable, and hostile response to a perceived provocation, hurt, or threat. Now, it could be that this provocation is to you or to someone else, as long as you perceive it as a hurt or a threat to you. It may instigate anger in you. Now, of course, the question again, has anger ever affected your spirituality? A few people sent in some responses, which I will be taking as we go on. Pamela K sent this response to the question. She said, yes, I was so angry with my ex, I couldn't pray or go to church for a long time. One day, I read this post on Instagram and realized I was more angry at myself than him. And she sent in the post as well. At Superwoman I wrote, when we think of forgiveness, we usually think about accepting someone else's apology. But today I'm trying to forgive myself, something I don't do enough. I forgive myself for being unable to focus, for dropping the ball sometimes, for being impatient, for not sleeping as much as I should, for allowing negativity real estate in my mind, for being tough on myself, for taking longer than I'd like to learn a lesson, for not speaking up when I could have, for not loving myself when I should have, and for the moment I don't lead with light. Every day I will try my best, but whenever I falter, I will be kind and forgive myself. Love starts at home. Alright, so Pamela went on to say, as simple as it is, it touched something in me. And I guess for her, that was the turning point for her. Any
yes.
comment on this?
Yes, I can't comprehend or understand why somebody will hurt you, then you transfer your anger to your own spirituality, worship, and so on.
Okay,
well, I can't come to terms with how it will happen that way.
I guess with that's the beauty of humanity. We're all different, and
yes.
The way we react to things, it depends. I think it also depends on what caused the anger too. The source of the anger also has to be considered. Anyway, we have more responses, but thank you to those who have been following. And if you're just joining in, this is Spiritual Exercise on Click Niger Radio. Today the topic is the effect of anger on your spirituality. So more responses on if anger has affected your spirituality. Rachel Danton says, yes, sadly. I was very angry one time with an ex. I didn't go to church for a month. I couldn't forgive and couldn't pray. Until exactly 1 month later, the Holy Spirit asked me what I was doing, why I wasn't grateful for the life I had. I got up, went to church, and praised God, and the anger was gone. Alright, so I think, I've gone through most of these responses already, and I noticed some commonalities, some common thread in some of them. So somehow we'll explore it as time goes on.
But I noticed that for the two posts, like the anger is relationship based.
Okay. Well,
One,
no, but that's the thing. The anger, it's doesn't mean that that's the source. It depends on what caused the anger primarily. Yes, it's relationship based, but then the sources
the
of
first
anger
one, her
too.
ex-husband or ex, both are ex-relationship based.
Well, okay. Anyway, let's just go on.
Okay.
Miss Asma said, I was so mad with my mom. She did me wrong. That was so hard to let go. Gaskiya. I noticed I stopped praying or praying for others. I had to let go so I can gain my peace back. When you have an intimacy with God, this is still Miss Asma.
Yes.
You will surely be angry, but not for long. My life matters to me. My happiness counts. Okay. Second, Jennifer Manji Wilson writes, anger has affected my spirituality in so many ways. It leaves me with a feeling of guilt and shame. I feel like I've disappointed God, so it's hard for me to pray. Now, this one in particular,
Yes.
something about it, just rang a bell in my mind. So the feeling of letting God down and not the anger
Yes.
is what
It's
affected
preventing
her
her
spirituality
and
not
yes.
the anger. So, but it's still also a ripple effect that
Yes.
anger brought on these feelings,
Yes.
and now these feelings in turn affected
her
own spirituality.
Yes.
So I guess for her, she understood what was causing the problem
Yes.
for her, and I guess that's what the first thing is, understanding. Anyway, we go on. All right. So Bola in Jos wrote sent this in. Yes, I got so angry with hubby one day and said a whole lot of stuff I didn't really mean. The guy now said, later now you'll be the one preaching. She now to her husband, so you are calling me a hypocrite. For 2 weeks I could not pray, go to church, or even get myself to forgive him. What I did, I called a friend, narrated everything, and asked her to be praying for me because I could not pray. I kept on singing songs on how weak I was and how much I wanted God to take control, and the burden was lifted. I forgave him, and the love waxed stronger.
Hey.
Any comment on this?
Stronger.
Any comment on this?
Still relationship based, still affecting your spirituality.
Well,
So
I don't see that as relationship based for me, because I feel it's about the object, what caused the issue now. This is just the scenario that they're giving us. They're not telling us what actually
and
happened.
there's something about getting angry, but in certain scenarios, when things are happening around you, you need to detach your emotions and use your reasoning mind.
But anger is an emotion.
Yes, as in when something, let yourself be overcome by emotion, because it clouds your judgment, your thinking towards things. So once you let yourself to be overcome by emotion, you are not rational to some point. Yes.
Well, for me, I think the idea here is that she even said it, that she couldn't forgive her husband. That was what was blocking her from moving past what happened.
Yes.
So it's there's anger that caused that, but it's the unforgiveness. And of course, eventually she said that was what was able to. She was able to let go of, because she was able to forgive. And that was it. So it's about the actual thing that caused the anger, or what the anger now has brought on. Anyway, it's different for people. So, but would like to hear from you. Do let us know in the comment section, okay, how you dealt with anger that probably threatened your spirituality or even affected it at some point. All right. So, but generally, as we've established now, this brings us to the territory of forgiveness, and it's something that we've treated on the program Spiritual Exercise a few weeks ago. We discussed the power of forgiveness, and we concluded that much of it comes from deciding to let ourselves heal. Now, an excerpt from what we talked about: forgiveness of others and self is an act of transformation and a high spiritual path, and that is the power of forgiveness. So it boils down to wanting to heal.
Yes, and letting go of things. Don't hold on to things for too long.
Okay. So another response, this one is from Blessing M. She writes, when angry, I don't go to any spiritual gathering. Especially. Kai, I'd rather stay home. But while at home, I keep praying on how to resolve what got me angry with whomever. And if I don't find a way out via talking things through, I simply let go and be normal.
Okay, I'm beginning to understand something. Like for some people, not going to church because they're angry, they don't want to go to church with unresolved issues.
Yes.
So they want to have a clear
Mind, of course, yeah.
So maybe it's not even about, it's them letting things go, then going to church with a clear, so that they can concentrate on the preachings in the church.
All right. She goes on to say, but I steer clear of gatherings till I'm okay, because I feel I'll be forced to pretend I'm okay when I just want to be angry.
And even probably transfer negative energy
to someone else too.
Yes,
there's that. Okay, anyway, something that was highlighted was the fact that anger can originate from varying sources, of course. Chiefly, there's anger from feeling offended or being criticized, and anger from observing marginalization and victimization. You know, it may not be that people are doing you wrong, but you do someone else wrong, and
yes, you get
angry at that. But the source of anger may determine how long it lasts and how much damage it may bring. That is why we can all agree that something so unpredictable as anger cannot be good for your spiritual wellness or well-being. Like, even physically, it affects you.
Yes,
mentally.
Your action, like any action you take, like in the Holy Book, like Quran, the teaching by our Prophet that when you are angry, if you are standing, you should sit down. And after sitting down, and you don't feel any better, you lie down. And I'm beginning to think that the reason behind that is that maybe it will allow you time to meditate and think over things so that you don't act swiftly. Maybe you change your mind about the thing.
Okay, and yeah, but the thing is, anger in itself too is not necessarily bad.
No, it's not bad.
We're humans, we're prone to have emotional responses to things. Yes. You know, and anger has been proven to be useful and even positive sometimes if it remains non-violent and channeled in a compassionate manner. Unfortunately, history has proven to us that change brought about through anger often manifests violence, which also drives social change, though in a more negative manner that often results in making matters worse rather than better. So there's a possibility that yes, although anger can, you know, fuel some certain positivities, if not handled carefully, those positivities may end up being negatives.
And it's okay to be angry, but how you react when you are angry, that is what counts.
Yes.
Like if you are angry, it's okay once your reaction won't inflict pain on another person. So however you let out that emotion, you should, so far you're not inflicting any harm to yourself or to another person. If you like, you can scream, whatever you do, like to take that emotion. Yes.
All right. Jeff Danilek, a teacher of spiritual enlightenment, wrote about anger in a way that, you know, we found very interesting. He said, "It's not that we get angry from time to time that's important. It's what we get angry at and why. It may not be the most useful energy we can tap into, but it is a part of us and something we need to acknowledge and accept in ourselves. As long as it is softened by love and compassion, it can even be an effective tool for collective spiritual growth." Now that clause at the end is, for me, is the most important part, that as long as you can soften your anger with love and compassion,
and you have a just cause for being angry,
well, as long as it can be an effective tool for collective spiritual growth, yes, the end may justify the means. But like you said, as long as it doesn't cause harm to yourself or someone else. Now, a spiritualist and teacher of metaphysics, Obara Meiji, says the problem with anger is how you deal with it. Dealing with anger, especially if you realize that it is a problem in your life, is very important. Now, she recommends meditation as a way to release the negative tension brought on by anger. According to her, meditation removes stress and allows certain balance to occur in your life. What are your thoughts on meditation?
If I think meditation, I think like I see a serene environment. I see calm, peace, quiet place.
Is that something that you do? Do you tend to meditate?
Yes.
You do? Okay, and you find it helpful?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't say I meditate. I mean, I have my own way. Well, meditation doesn't have a strict way, but in the general sense, of course, when we think of meditation, like you said, it's about a serene place, removing yourself from the regular things and stuff like that. But the way I look over things, I may be in the midst of people, and in my mind, I remove myself from
Detach,
it.
yeah.
Yes, I just detach myself. So it doesn't have to be a physical,
Yes.
serene place or calm
but
place.
calmness
But
in
that
your
I
mind.
make out the time
Quiet
to
mind.
yes, to have peace in my mind and
Yes.
look over things and think about it in a way that I am being objective.
Yes.
Yes. So that is me.
Maybe another time is for you to reflect deeply.
Well, maybe in a way, reflection. Well, let's not go into terms
Yes.
right now. Okay. All right. So on Church of the Great Gods website, ccg.org, cgg rather .org, we are told that none of us can achieve spiritual growth without controlling the emotions. God has created humans with a mind to work in tandem with emotional impulses. So, and according to Daniel Goleman in his book Emotional Intelligence, too many of us have allowed the amygdala, that is our emotions, to overpower the cerebral cortex, that is our mind. Now, allowing anger and other negative emotions to get out of control. And for the sake of our spiritual wellness, we cannot have that. So it's having mind over our emotions, not our emotions over our mind.
Yes. But both are important.
Of course, they're necessary. They're integral to our well-being.
Yes.
So Mike Adabara Onimisi sent a message. Thank you so much for tuning in. He says anger is a passion of the mind, and it can prevent you, I guess, or stop you from growing spiritually.
Yeah.
I mean that's definitely a fact. Whether you accept it or not, if you tend to have too many bursts of anger or anger issues, problem managing your anger, you would realize that you may not be able to grow spiritually. Yes, it will happen. I mean, we had this in Charlie Sheen, the actor. Charlie Sheen had anger issues. That was one of the things that were problematic for him on the show. I mean, apart from his drinking and stuff like that, he had issues with anger, and it also affects your relationship with people. That's in the physical aspect too, to an extent. Thank you so much, Mike. Sylvia Agoha says, I totally agree. The key in overcoming is in the control. That's in response to Mike. So control, like we've established, if you find out that you're angry, yes, that's fine. What do you do with it? What do you do afterwards? All right, so how do you get over anger? You guys can share with us, Sylvia and Mike, how do you get over anger? How do you control now the anger? So Hawa, for you, how do you control anger?
Like it was before, like with reading and understanding certain things around me, I don't get angry as easily as I did before.
Okay.
Because before I was somebody that tried as much as possible not to hurt other people.
Okay.
Then when other people don't consider me before they act, I find it hurtful and I get very angry.
Okay.
But now I have come to the realization that I'm different from other people. So that I should lower my expectation from people, not to expect people to act or think the way I do. Then in certain situations, I detach myself and I become an onlooker, even though it is situation around me. So I'm able to digest more, understand more, and get angry less.
Yes, that's really good. Very effective. Okay, so from the responses we've been able to collate these. That the first thing is identify the source of your anger. Pamela K wrote, she realized she wasn't angry at her ex, but at herself, and it was easier now for her to get to a place of forgiving herself and letting go of that anger that was misdirected. So identify the source of your anger. Another thing is develop habits that help you get over your anger. For instance, Obara lady, the spiritualist there, recommends meditation as a way, and Hawati also corroborated that it works for her. So meditation as prescribed by Miss Obara Meiji. Sylvia Agoha just sent in this. She said, I control anger by choosing not to speak out of anger.
Okay.
I take a break. Now we have something related to speaking out of anger, so just hold on for it, all right? Thank you, Sylvia, for that one. Another thing is strengthening your relationship with your Creator, with God. This doesn't mean that you will not be angry. Sophia, pardon me, Asma mentioned this too. She said she realized that it was about her happiness, and of course she would get angry, but you will not be angry for too long.
Yes,
especially when you have a strong relationship with God. All right. So yes, like Sylvia said, she chooses not to speak out of anger. I think that works too for a lot of people. People tell you when you find yourself angry, count. count from 1
1
to
to
10.
10 or even 1 to 100.
Yes, just
depending
count
on your anger
you know, so
level.
like you just calm yourself.
Yes.
You just put your senses all in one place, and it's possible that you don't react impulsively.
Because anger triggers some chain reaction.
Yes.
And once you speak immediately out of anger, we'll get to the quote.
There are some times that, you know, recently I actually realized that I was angry at someone. I am still a bit angry at this person. Yeah, but it's not to the point that it's affecting my daily life or activities. No, it's not, you know, it's not that serious. You're not that important.
Okay.
But the point is, I was so angry, and that day I was so emotional. I wanted to cry, but then the anger came up, and it was able to stifle the emotion, the very weaker or, you know, mushy emotions, and I didn't cry. And it helped me, well, at that moment it helped me, you know, avoid breaking down and being weak and crying. Yes, anger in itself is still a weakness, but at least I know that I am no longer holding on
but
to
some
anger.
People see it as strength.
It depends. No, sometimes it can
it's
be
a weakness for some people.
No, it's a weakness, but sometimes it can be. It can, because in a case where you use it for good.
No, not for good. Like the bad anger is a weakness. Then you can't deal. You are childish to some extent if you can't deal and manage your anger emotions. For some people, the bad type of anger, not the good one for a just cause. Maybe anger out of empathy towards what is happening to someone else. Yes, that negative anger, some people see it as a positive trait. Well, they are very angry. They are in control.
This also brings you to the issue of emotional intelligence. There's a whole lot about it, but the point is, for me, at least at that moment, anger, I held on to the anger because it helped me avoid something else.
Another
at that time,
emotion.
anger to suppress another emotion. Yes,
yeah.
So at that time, it worked for me. But of course, in the long run, the fact that I'm even allowing myself to be held, you know, ransom by these emotions too is not healthy. It's not good. But yeah, that story for another day. But then, of course, with all these things, if none of these things work, remember the words of Ambrose Bierce. He said, "Speak when you are angry, and you will make the best speech you will ever regret."
True.
All right, thank you so much. That is the much we can take on today's edition of Spiritual Exercise. It is where we draw the reins on today's program. I'd like to appreciate and acknowledge my producer, Hawa Mohammed, and supervising producer Ehi Ohiani. Thanks, ma'am. You guys are awesome. I am Makchit Rinda. Have another beautiful July week. Yes, July is the best month.
Baby.
Thank you so much. Toodles.
Bye-bye.